3-7. 3-7. And let's take a look at how this is going to get better. Got Charlotte coming up at Charlotte. Now you tell me that's a gimme and I will slap you. Because right now, who's a gimme? Who's a gimme? Who's a gimme? Home against Utah. That was the only gimme on the net schedule so far. Obviously impressive win against Miami, which seems like such a long time ago, doesn't it? And losses to just about everybody else, and a squeaker win over Phoenix. So don't give me that at Charlotte's a gimme. But I'm like, let's put it on the board, as the Hawk would say. So now let's say you go 4-7. At Minnesota? Okay. All right. Yeah. 4-8. Home against Detroit. I'm going to give that one to you. So you're 5-8. At Toronto. Silly as this sounds, I'm going to give you that one. 6-8. Home against the Lakers, I'm going to give you that. 7-8. And then here you go. Just when you're starting to crawl back, maybe some positive things, you're going to go at Houston, at Memphis. You're not winning either one of those games. So now you're 7-10. To end, you're going into December 7-10. You got Denver coming in. Whew. How fast and quick they would be. I'm going to give you a loss there. Now you're going 7-11. Now you got the Knicks. And God forbid you lose to the Knicks. Because that's basically right now all we have to hope for to salvage early in this season. Any pride whatsoever is if we beat them. So we're 7, we go 8-11, beating the Knicks. Then we go at Milwaukee. Not going to be easy, but I'm going to give it to you. 9-11. Then you got Boston, 10-11. Clippers are coming into town. All right, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you. 11-11. So according to my projections, it's going to take mid-December to be a 500 basketball team. Is that sickening or what? Is that sickening? Now, then you have at Detroit, not easy. Philly, Washington come here at Philly. I mean, folks, I'm looking at that could be an extended run of 500 basketball coming up. I mean, this hole that we put ourselves in, everybody wants to say early. But let me remind you, you gave away games to Cleveland, Washington, Sacramento. I mean, Orlando. Those are four games in the W column that you're not getting back. So I'm telling you, you can make a case, and I'm going to say this: this team will be a 500 basketball team come January. January. We'll be going into the new year a 500 basketball team. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? And let's just come up with new ways to lose. I mean, didn't get a chance to watch the game live. I was on an appointment. So, but I got the ESPN update. Then I see 40 points in the first quarter. I'm like, oh, the boys are smoking. They're coming out with a mission. Amen. And then I see only 63. At the half, but you're up 6. Whatever, 6 or 7 it was at the half. I'm like, all right. You're not going to sustain 40 points a quarter. And then I get in the car just in time to listen to the third quarter. And the Nets, one of the only teams probably in NBA history, I'm sure there's a few, but how many teams can score 40 in the first quarter and not get to 100? How many teams? I mean, look at some of these. Frightening. I mean, they're just so bad right now. They got to the line 35 times. There was at one point late in the game, they got to the line 3 times the amount of times that Portland did. Now, the only reason Portland got to the line more is we started fouling late. So we had triple the amount of free throw attempts that Portland did. And we made almost every one. 33 of 35 from the line. That's a crisp 94%. You turn the ball over 7 times. Now, if I told you before the game that you're going to go 33 of 35 from the line, and Portland's only going to get to the line 21 times, Portland's going to turn the ball over 14 times. You're going to turn it over 7. And you're going to lose by 10. You would think I'm a jackass, which I am for other reasons. The Brooklyn Nets are a disgrace. I mean, now it's come down to, Jason Kidd blaming himself. I didn't see you miss any shots, Jay. It's admirable taking the blame. And obviously you have to. This team has been utterly disgraceful through 10 games. Utterly disgraceful. I mean, look at some of these statistics after 10 games. We have, let's take a look. How about my boy Joe, who, I so want to like Joe. You so want to like him because he does big things at the end of the game, but you just can't tolerate him in the middle of the game. Now, I give him credit. He must have been watching the BK Nets cap show. Yeah, okay. Because he did go to the hole a lot yesterday. I watched the game, watched the replay. Unfortunately, missed a lot of shots. He's 4 for 12. It's every night Joe is shooting, seems that percentage. Joe for the season is shooting 40%. I mean, that's a bucket. That's a missed bucket shy of being in the 30s. Our superstar point guard, Darren, is shooting 42%. Same thing, a couple of buckets shy of being in the 30s. Inexcusable, Garnett is shooting 32%, had a nice start. Allen Anderson is shooting under 40%. Jason Terry is shooting under 40%. Tyshawn Taylor, small body work, but shooting in 27%. Reggie Evans, I don't understand. He's shooting 31%. And how about Mirza Teletovic? I know it's insignificant. He's not a big player. Mirza Teletovic, folks, is shooting 15%. Mirza Teletovic is shooting 15%. $9 million over 3 years. A guy is making less than 2 out of 10 shots. The guy stinks. He cannot make a shot. Anyway, it shouldn't be about him. He didn't play. Obviously, listen, Pierce was terrible. You want to win games, you need 3 guys. You need 5 guys to play well in an NBA game to usually win. I say it all the time. That's my own personal theory, nobody else's. And it just didn't match up. Livingston was terrific, 8 for 14. Didn't have as many assists as you like to see, only 2. Did not turn the ball over at all. And Garnett had 2 games. He had the first 5 minutes, and then he was Garnett the rest of the way. He was 6 for 6, and the rest of the way he was 2 for 12. So I don't know if can you categorize his numbers look good. 16 points, 8 rebounds, but a -10 on the floor. Joe Johnson was a -18 while he was on the floor. Joe Johnson was terrible. Blatch did not shoot the ball well, 4 for 10. Terry did not shoot the ball, 2 for 7. So basically, in essence, you had one guy that you could stamp and say had a good game, and that was Livingston. This team is in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. This team is in trouble. Now, I know people are already calling for Jason Kidd's head. It's hard for me to knock. I know it's 10 games. Like, Bob, are you kidding me? Calling for the coach's head? What do you see that makes you feel like, I don't know. I see losing in every way you can, whether it's having a 10-point lead with 3 minutes to go in Washington. You're getting dominated in third quarters. Every loss, every one of your 7 losses, you've lost the third quarter. You would think that maybe something's got to be done at halftime. I don't know. I'm not an NBA coach. I'm not a basketball coach. But you would think something's got to be done at halftime to make this adjustment. I mean, teams are just coming out, blowing you out of the water. What was it, 27-15? 27-15 in the third quarter. At one point, the statistic came up. I don't know, say one point. In the second half, they shot 22% in the second half. Where's it getting better? PJ Avery have to be smiling. With a team that had far less talent. They were getting some stuff out of their teams. Now, I was in favor of letting Avery go. I didn't like his substitutions. And the same thing with PJ. I mean, listen, I'm like a lot of net guys. I liked PJ. I enjoyed his post-game stuff. I liked the fact that he was a little adamant. He was a little bit of a yeller. I didn't mind that. But honestly, I wasn't like... I wanted a big-name coach in here. I thought we'd get a bigger-name coach. You know, it kills me that Doc Rivers wasn't pursued aggressively enough. Maybe he was pursued. I don't know. You don't know that behind the scenes. But you think about the mistake that this looks like right now with Jay Kidd, who looks cool. I mean, look at what the scouts. I mean, did you read what one of these scouts said about him? One of the scouts had some interesting things to say about him, and I'll read some of the excerpts to you. A veteran scout interviewed early in the day and speaking on the condition of anonymity, I don't know if I said that word right, called Kidd's bench comportment terrible, observing that the play calling has fallen mostly to his top assistants. Here's what the guy said. He doesn't do anything, said the scout, who has watched the Nets several times. He doesn't make calls. John Welch does all the offense. Lawrence does all the defense. I don't know what Kidd does. I don't think you can grade him and say he's bad. You can give him an incomplete. The same guy continued and said he had counted only 15 plays run by the Nets in games that he has watched. Multiple observers have noted that the Nets offense lacks any discernible flow, as if the stars are simply taking turns with the ball. Kind of like my rec team. We don't have any plays. We go down the court. You know, somebody gets open, great. Because we're not basketball players. We don't do it for a living. This is an issue. This team, I would have been pissed off at this point in the season if we were 5-5. I would have probably been angry at 6-4, to be honest with you, because I looked at the first 10 and I'm saying I want to be 8-2. I'll live with 7-3. 8-2 is what I looked at. 3-7. Are you? Oh, is this some kind of a joke? Is this some kind of a cruel joke that you're going to give me this squad? You're going to give me this bench? You're going to instill this new toughness? You're going to give me a Hall of Fame player as a head coach who was one of the greatest leaders of all time? You're going to get a great assistant in Lawrence Frank? And you're going to be 3-7? Are you kidding me? Don't have the answers. Don't have the answers. It's just a bad basketball team in a lot of ways. You know, yesterday couldn't put the ball in the basket. You know, first quarter shoot almost 80%. Maybe it was 80, and second half you shoot 22%. Problems in Brooklyn. Problems. Leave me alone.